troops on both sides broke ranks and dived into an orgy of plundering. One
Wait, the French are retreating and they're still plundering? No way. Alright, I'm a bit late, but here I am. While the Allied armies had seized initiatives and were on the march, the French armies were scattered all over Spain. Bro, I literally said this so many times. I'm pretty sure I said this on my last Napoleon reaction. Those armies that were scattered in Spain could have been used to probably fix the issue, the dire situation that Napoleon is in right now.
May 1813. While Napoleon's Grande Armée began its fight back in Central Europe following the disastrous invasion of Russia, 1,200 miles away, at the other end of Napoleon's embattled empire, another enemy was poised to strike. The previous year, Wellington's Anglo-Portuguese army had won a brilliant victory at Salamanca, but been held at Burgos and forced into a long, demoralizing retreat back to the Portuguese frontier. But after a winter of rest, reinforcement and training, Wellington's army was stronger than ever. 100,000 men, many of them...
Oh, God. 100,000, dude. I was literally arguing with one of my friends last night about the War of 1812. And I told him how freaking, like, it's embarrassing how America didn't win the War of 1812. And how it was literally like a sideshow to the Napoleonic Wars. Like, and he was like, no, it wasn't. It was one of the main battlegrounds. I'm like, dude, barely a couple thousand American troops and British troops were literally fighting in Canada, mostly around Fort Detroit. Like, and he was like, it was comparable to the British fighting Napoleon. I'm like, no. Hell no.
The battle-hardened veterans. And for the first time, he had sufficient cavalry and artillery, while transport and medical services had also been improved. Morale was sky high. Their chief, known to the troops as Old Nosey, was cheered wherever he went. I never saw the British Army so healthy or so strong, Wellington informed London. In contrast, the French position in Spain was weaker than ever. Napoleon severely underestimated the threat posed by Wellington and had just withdrawn 20,000 French troops for his own use in Germany. As Commander-in-Chief, King Joseph knew his forces were overstretched. Napoleon allowed him to give up Madrid and move his capital to the more easily defended Valladolid. But withdrawing further, to a strong position like the Ebro River, was out of the question. That would send the wrong message to neutral Austria and Napoleon's wavering German allies. And so...
Bro! Dude, I was thinking, like, dude, pull back to the river. What are you doing? What are you doing? It doesn't matter if you can't pull back or not. Like, he's gonna get overran eventually.
With serious concerns, Joseph and his chief of staff, Marshal Jourdan, awaited Wellington's offensive.
In a few days, we shall take the field. The campaign bids fair to the most brilliant. I hope to see the Pyrenees before September.
Wellington's plan was for his army to advance in two wings, concentrate at Toro, then move against Joseph's forces. In the south, Murray's Anglo-Sicilian Spanish force, based in Alicante, had just repelled an attack by Marshal Suchet at the Battle of Castalla. Murray would now mount a diversionary landing on the Mediterranean coast to coincide with Wellington's advance and prevent Suchet sending reinforcements north. Wellington had also counted on large-scale support from Spanish regular forces of which he was, since November 1812, theoretically commander-in-chief. But the Spanish Cortes, based in Cadiz, was deeply divided, with many still highly suspicious of British motives. The result was that Wellington would only receive direct support from a few reliable Spanish divisions.
Wait, British motives of what? What were they afraid of? What? He didn't even bother to elaborate. Someone please explain that to me. Like, what possibly could Britain have done? Do what Napoleon did and put a puppet in Spain? I don't know. Interesting.
Fortunately, he would receive considerable Spanish support from the guerrillas, now better armed, organized, and operating in greater numbers than ever before. A large area of Valencia had effectively been liberated by El Fraile, the Friar. Esposimina had captured major towns in Navarre and was currently keeping General Clausel's Army of the North busy, while Juan Martín Díaz, aka El Empecinado, was tying down large numbers of French troops near Madrid.
Where about Portugal? I shall never see you again. Oh wow.
On the 22nd of May, Wellington bid farewell to Portugal and began his advance. 4 days later, he was in Salamanca, from where he joined the northern wing of his army under Sir Thomas Graham. Joseph and Jourdan expected Wellington's main thrust to come from Salamanca, so planned to defend the line of the Douro River. But Graham's rapid advance north of the river meant they'd already been outflanked.
Oh, dude, this is such a horrible position to be in. And this is why I say it doesn't really matter if Napoleon doesn't want Austria to join the war or not. Which again, you know, we in my previous reaction that I did, you know, we all know what happened. But if you don't take hindsight, because I'm not speaking using hindsight, okay? Big problem that a lot of people who discuss history do. They use hindsight. Either ways, without hindsight, he would have been broken, and that still would have looked really bad. So in my personal opinion, I feel like he should have just pulled back anyways. And if he was holding the river in the Pyrenees, right? I think that's what the mountains are called, the Pyrenees Mountain. It would have actually been a better look, frankly speaking. And your lines wouldn't be so overstretched.
They ordered a retreat. By a series of brilliant marches, Wellington continued threatening the French right flank, forcing Joseph to keep falling back. Wellington's army was able to use small roads and mountain tracks north of the main highway, which the French had dismissed as impassable. But thanks to his...
Oh, come on, France. Really, France? So you're telling me that France has always had this habit of dismissing things as impassable since way before World War II happened? Really? Come on, France. You haven't learned your lesson?
Spanish allies, Wellington knew better. Backed by British sea power, he was also now able to switch his supply base from Lisbon to Santander, drastically reducing the length of his supply lines, another feat the French had written off as impossible.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is like cope. This is like literally cope. This is literally cope. I don't know what else to say. This is literally cope. Like you're like, you know when someone's in a bad position and they're just like making up a whole bunch of copes, just for them not to face reality. Like this is literally what this is right now.
At the Ebro River, the French found themselves outflanked yet again and fell back to Vitoria. Here, Joseph decided that he must make his stand.
I mean, he has no other choice. I mean, the French border is right there, and this is exactly why I said that he should have pulled back there anyways. Like, oh my gosh.
the Zadorra River valley west of Vitoria seemed to offer a strong defensive position. Expecting an attack from the west, French forces were drawn up in 3 lines. General Gazon's army of the south formed the first line. Then General d'Erlon's army of the centre. Then General Rey's army of Portugal. Joseph hoped that he could at least buy time for the vast wagon convoy assembled east of the city to get away. It contained not only military supplies, but his government's treasury. And, as satirized by this contemporary British cartoon, the accumulated loot of 5 years' French occupation of Spain, including priceless works of art, jewels, and antiques.
Wait, what? Okay, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. You're telling me that he didn't, like, pull this out of Spain when stuff was really getting bad? Like, now he's doing this? Why didn't he do this before? Oh my gosh. I don't get. Okay. Oh, dude. I mean, this is just like common sense, dude. Like pure mismanagement by the French at this point. Like, it really makes me wonder. Like, did the French get defeated, or did the French just defeat themselves, really and truly? Oh my gosh, whatever.
He also expected General Clausel to arrive with 20,000 reinforcements any day. However, thanks to the guerrillas, Wellington was better informed of Clausel's whereabouts than Joseph himself. Knowing that Clausel could...
Wait, how were the guerrillas able to do that? What? What? How are they able to send messages like that? And so quickly, too, to the point where Joseph doesn't even know as much information as Wellington. Oh my gosh.
Didn't reach Joseph before the 22nd of June. He decided to attack on the 21st. The day before, French patrols reported enemy troop movement to the north, so Rey's troops were moved to cover any threat to the army's line of communications. Apart from one division, which left to escort part of the wagon convoy to France. An odd decision that deprived the army of 4,000 men on the eve of battle. Marshal Jourdan had been bedridden with fever that day. The next morning, he reconnoitred the army's position with King Joseph. They agreed that their position was overextended and should be shortened. But by the time their orders reached General Gazon, it was too late. He was already under attack.
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. The sharp fire on the right gave us notice that the ball had been opened.
Wellington, enjoying the advantage in numbers for once, had decided to attack in 4 columns across a 10-mile front.
Wait, how does the French have more guns than Wellington? I thought epic history said that Wellington had much more time to build up. The French still has more guns despite the fact that the French are losing. Okay.
With General Graham's left-hand column threatening Joseph's line of retreat. It was a bold plan, with the potential to trap and destroy Joseph's army, but required careful coordination and precise timing. Fortunately, the French had not thought it necessary to destroy any of the bridges over the Zadorra River, which was also fordable in several places.
Oh my gosh. No way. No, it's like they're trying to lose. I mean, I don't know what else to say at this point. It's like they're trying to lose.
At 8 a.m., General Hill's column began its attack on the Allied right. Spanish and British troops advanced up the western heights of Puebla, driving off French skirmishers, and forcing General Gazon to send reinforcements to secure his left flank. Hill's troops then seized the village of Subiana, but French cannon fire and counterattacks prevented any further advance. Convinced that Hill's attack was the main assault, and that troop movements to the north were probably a diversion, Jourdan continued to send troops from the centre to reinforce the left. This was exactly what Wellington wanted. But at 11 a.m, he was waiting with growing impatience for his other columns to go into action. Lord Dalhousie's 7th Division, supposed to be leading the attack by the centre-left column, had got held up in the mountains. While further east, Graham's flanking move had got off to a cautious start. But seeing the size of the approaching force, General Ray decided to pull back his troops across the Zadorra River.
Holy moly, this is like the first French general who, granted, he used basic common sense, but this is like the first French general that didn't have orders from high command that actually did something right. So I was reading some of my comments, and some people pointed out how the generals and the marshals, they were good when they had orders from high command. But when they were alone, and I noticed this myself, they were disappointing and straight garbage. Like, I don't know what else to say, bro.
River. This encouraged Graham to get things moving. Colonel Longa's Spanish division advanced on Durana, held by Spanish troops loyal to King Joseph, and a bitter struggle for the village ensued. British and Portuguese infantry advanced against Gamara Mayor. They were soon engaged in bloody street fighting with the French. This scene shows an attack by the 4th King's Own Regiment of Foot and the 47th Lancashire Regiment. Though they succeeded in driving the French out of the village, they could not cross its bridge over the Zadorra, which was expertly covered by French guns.
Were people who made these paintings actually there? Like, was this like an actual accurate painting? Because I know some paintings were just propaganda, some paintings were, made like years after battles happened, some. But like, were there like any case where like people who were actually at the battle, like, like accurately remember, like, because if that is the case, that memory, that level of memory is impressive. Come on, you rascals. Come on, you fighting villains.
Around noon, a Spanish peasant informed Wellington that the bridge...
I swear, that's like how Caribbean people speak. Or at least people in my country.
at Tres Puentes was completely unguarded. He immediately ordered Kempt's elite light infantry brigade to dash across it and secure a bridgehead. But there was still little sign of Dalhousie's 7th Division. General Picton, the notoriously short-tempered commander of the fighting 3rd Division, ran out of patience. Fed up with waiting for Dalhousie, he ordered his men to advance. They charged across the Mendoza Bridge and a nearby ford, driving back light French defences. General Gazan, with his left flank pinned down at Subiana, was now about to be outflanked on his right, and had no option but to pull back his troops. Wellington's army was now crossing the Zadorra River in force. Heavy fighting continued to rage on the heights of Puebla, but here the French also had to give ground to maintain the cohesion of their new line. Scottish Highlanders and Connaught Rangers support.
Oh, yo, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Ultra Giga Chat Scottish fella. Oh, dude, look at that. He's like mogging. He's mogging us right now, dude. Oh, not me, though.
Supported by riflemen and Portuguese troops, now stormed the village of Arignez, routing the defenders, who retreated southeast. And a gap began to emerge in the French centre, between Gazan's army of the south and D'Erlon's army of the centre. The Allied advance continued, with heavy pressure on both French flanks. Wellington's army appeared to be building unstoppable momentum, with Graham's column poised to cut off Joseph's escape.
Yeah, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I am watching this. I like, from the time I saw that the bridges weren't destroyed, I still don't understand what Joseph was thinking. Like, I'm still trying to process what like, bro is not cooking, bro. Like, if bro thought he was cooking, Like Marshall, Judon, and Joseph. Like, what were y'all thinking? Because it's like I'm not even surprised. I'm not even surprised. It's like, dude. Oh my gosh, dude! It's the bridges weren't even destroyed. And from the time I saw that, I saw the writing on the wall. But I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna see a plot twist. Artillery and musketry were heard in one continuous, uninterrupted volume of sound. The fire had already become exceedingly violent.
By 4 p.m., Wellington's army was formed up across the Zadorra, ready to strike a decisive blow. But his infantry came under heavy fire from 76 French guns, blasting great holes in their ranks. Allied guns were brought forward to provide support. The biggest artillery duel of the Peninsular War began. More than 70 guns on each side. Allied skirmish.
No, nothing compared to what I saw at Eylau and Borodino, and I think it was Smolensk as well. Like those battles, like nothing can compare to that.
Exploiting the gap in the French centre near Gomecha, were able to work their way behind the French guns and shoot down their crews.
No, oh, bro. How does this happen? How do you let this happen, bro?
Gazan found himself threatened on both flanks. But instead of trying to close up with D'Erlon to his north, on his own initiative he ordered a retreat that left D'Erlon's own left flank completely exposed. Around the same time, Longa's Spanish troops finally captured Durana, and rumours swept the French army that their escape route had been cut. D'Erlon's army of the centre fought on bravely, withdrawing to another new defensive line just 1 mile west of Vitoria. French guns kept up a steady fire on the advancing Allied lines, but once more the position was outflanked. Around 5:30 p.m, King Joseph bowed to the inevitable and ordered a general retreat.
$5 million. How much is that in today's money? How much is $5 million?
As the main road to France had now been cut by Longa's Spanish troops, the army would have to retreat east towards Pamplona along a single narrow road with boggy fields on either side. Bad enough for thousands of troops and guns, but there had been no attempt to move off the army's enormous convoy of wagons earlier in the day.
What? Oh my! Yeah, they want to lose. I mean, holy! I'm losing brain cells.
The result was pandemonium, as military units and artillery tried to force their way through the streets of Vitoria and the congested lanes and fields beyond. The task of forming a rearguard fell to General Reis' Army of Portugal, which conducted an organised withdrawal covered by its cavalry. Wellington hoped that Graham's column would now be surging across the Zadorra River to cut off the French army's retreat. But Graham, overestimating the enemy's strength, continued to take a cautious approach. East of Vitoria, the French retreat descended into total chaos. The single narrow road became blocked. Wagons that took to the fields got stuck and were abandoned. Allied cavalry fell upon this confused mass, spreading panic and meeting little serious opposition. King Joseph and Marshal Jourdan themselves narrowly escaped capture.
Oh, dude! Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, obviously they were the main character, but this is just awful to watch. This is so awful that I have nothing to say.
Among the abandoned wagons, many civilians, including officers, wives and children, priceless paintings, jewels and furniture, and more than 5 million gold francs. Troops on both sides broke ranks and dived into an orgy of plundering. One British...
No way! The French are retreating and they're still plundering? No way!
British officer described the scene. About dusk, the head of our column came suddenly on some wagons which had been abandoned by the enemy. Someone called out, "They are money carts!" No sooner were the words uttered than the division broke as if by word of command, and in an instant the covers disappeared from the wagons, and nothing was seen but a mass of inverted legs, while the arms were groping for dollars. For money it certainly was. The scene was disgraceful, but at the same time, ludicrous. Well,
Gosh. And you know what? I would be doing that too. I would be well a part of that. Damn straight.
Wellington, however, was furious. Not only did the plundering delay pursuit of the enemy, but giant sums of cash, which might have paid for his army's supplies, vanished into private pockets instead. Of 5.5 million francs, only 250,000 were ever recovered by the army.
What?
Vitoria was a great victory for the coalition, not as crushing as it might have been, reflected in relatively light French casualties. But in the chaotic retreat that followed, the Allies did capture all but 2 of 153 French guns, and even Jourdan's Marshal's bateau.
No. No. Violation. That is actually no. That's actually so bad. Oh, I had people explain to me like the symbolic importance of this stuff. So now I actually like better understand. Oh, dude, that's such a slap in the face. You have sent me among the trophies of your unrivaled fame, the baton of the French Marshal, and I shall send you in return that of England. The British army will hail it with raptors and okay.
French military power in Iberia was broken. The Bonapartist Kingdom of Spain was at an end. Joseph returned to France to face his brother's criticism. Marshal Jourdan retired from active service. Napoleon sent...
Oh, dude, you know it's bad. You know it's bad when someone has to retire, bro. Like that's how you know it's bad, bro. And this applies to any job, any position. Like you know someone got it bad when that one thing makes them retire, bro. Bloody hell.
Marshal Soult to replace them, but even his shrewd military mind could not turn the tide in Spain. Counterattacks to relieve the French garrisons at Pamplona and San Sebastian were defeated. That autumn, Wellington began what proved an unstoppable advance across the Pyrenees and into France. In southern Spain, where Marshal Suchet remained undefeated, the disaster at Vitoria forced him also to withdraw towards the frontier, leaving behind just a few isolated garrisons. After a bitter 5-year struggle, the Allies had brought the Peninsular War, to the Spanish their War of Independence, to a victorious conclusion.
This wasn't even an Allied victory, bro.
It had been a long, hard road, steeped in blood and suffering. The alliance between Britain and Spain had been particularly treacherous to navigate. But ultimately, both nations had fought together with Portugal to drive the French back across the Pyrenees. New research provides a clearer insight than ever into the huge attrition of French manpower in Iberia. An estimated total of 260,000 lives lost. 3/4 died of sickness. Of approximately...
Of course, this is like the main thing that always kills the army. It's not even the battle. It's like, it's always sickness. That was another reason why you could say that Napoleon lost. Because Napoleon just did not have any adequate way to stop these sicknesses from spreading. Bro, imagine if Napoleon was smart enough to realize that sickness would have been a big problem, bro. Yeah, he would have been unstoppable. He really would have been unstoppable. Because I'm like seeing all of this stuff, and oh, shocker, air quotes, sickness killed most of the army. I'm like, oh, really? No, don't get me wrong. I know that back then medicine isn't the way how it is now, but I'm just saying, like, what if, um, what if, because you could prevent, I think this is like what? This is 19th century. Yeah, this is like when people were kind of starting to like understand how medicine worked. This wasn't like the Black Death where people were like thinking that this was religious and whatnot. So no, I'm pretty sure people. Wait, or was that in 20th century when people were starting to learn that hey, don't be too close to this person or don't touch people, right? I don't know. Was that 19th century when they started to understand that, or 20th century? Whatever.
The 66,000 deaths from combat, 43% were in actions against Spanish regular forces, 38% fighting British-led armies, and 19% fighting guerrillas. By contrast, British military deaths are estimated at 52,000, Portuguese 15,000, with many more thousands of civilian deaths, while Spanish deaths are unknown, though the country as a whole may have lost as many as 500,000 lives in 5 years of war and occupation.
It's honestly not
For
crazy.
Napoleon, this disaster had been an unnecessary and largely self-inflicted wound.
Thank you, Epic History TV, for saying that.
An intervention born of arrogance and false assumptions, with dire strategic consequences. But as the Napoleonic Empire crumbled in Spain, an even greater struggle neared its climax in Central Europe, where Napoleon faced the most powerful coalition of his enemies yet. If the French Emperor was victorious in Germany, Wellington might soon be scrambling back across the Pyrenees. The fate of Europe was about to be decided at the Battle of Leipzig.
Oh, I am so looking forward to this. I've been waiting and waiting to get to this point, bruh. Oh, dude, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see the Battle of Leipzig, also known as the Battle of Nations. All right, man, you made it all the way this far. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, okay? If you like what I have to say, my reactions, go check out my other reactions on my channel. If you're bored or something, because I know some people, they tell me that, oh yeah, I just watch some of your stuff when I'm bored. I have nothing better to do, you know? I'm like, oh, that's cool. So make sure you like the video so that my stuff stays on the YouTube algorithm, and so that I can attract more history buffs in this small little community that I have, of course. Um, yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for watching.